Jason and Jabari. Jason and Jabari.
What's up, guys? This is Jason from the Jason and Jabari Gaming, and today I wanted to address not only the Spider Woman NERF and recent events that has been going on from the player side, but also from the corporate side. I wanted to just kind of give my thoughts about a couple of different things, and I didn't want you guys to be super bored, so I have a couple of different war fights that I haven't released from last season, and some battlegrounds fights. They're all random. There's no real rhyme or reason to them, but at least you guys will have something to watch while I'm just speaking of Spider Woman. And obviously the first fight is starting off with me with the Spider Woman. So the first thing I will say is that Kabam did try to acknowledge the fact that they made a mistake, and that is a good thing. They actually did say that they would allow her to keep the debuff, which will now just get rid of evade, which is good because that was part of her kit that they advertised. So I think that was a good thing. However, what they kept from us is that they thought that she was performing outside of what she should be doing offensively, and they kept that from us. So the intent was not just to say, hey, defensively she's outperforming our expectations and she's a nightmare for most people, so we're going to have to get rid of the ensnare debuff because of her defensive ability. Accuracy is just destroying things, right? And I've faced her many times with various champions, and she can be a problem. And it just, I mean, it's like a spiral effect too. So I understand that. But since they are going to nerf her offensively as well, because fights like Serpent and Dark Phoenix and stuff like that, who you would ideally use a Spider Woman for sometimes and get some wins, it's no longer going to be wins in my opinion, unless they have a worse matchup. So to me, that's kind of unethical. If you have an intent to do something and you don't disclose that intent, but you're telling everyone that is something else, to me personally, that is unethical behavior, and that's not a good practice in my opinion, Kabam. Okay, understand that transparency is everything, and if you have the intent to do something, the intent itself may or may not be fine depending on who you ask, but if you hide that fact, and if you manipulate and you lie about it, or you don't disclose it, then people, I hope you can see, get upset about it, and they don't trust you even further, because there's a lot of trust that needs to be gained that you as a company have not earned yet. Okay, and again, in my opinion, that's unethical behavior because it's misleading and it's not telling the truth, right? Depending on who you're talking to. Now, players are quick to react, so I get that, and you can't appease everyone. But that being said, if you do go through with this for Spider Woman, then in my opinion there needs to be rank down tickets, because again, as previously stated by numerous CCP members that did videos and non-CCP members that did videos, people invest money, time, energy, and effort into their rank ups. Okay, so you have to compensate if you're not going to give them the champion that you originally designed. And that's okay if you want to take something back for whatever reason, but fair compensation needs to be given. That's you going to any store, Walmart is the example I'm going to use, and hey, I need a refund because this item is not, functioning as intended. So whereas Walmart and stores like that will give you your money back, Kabam will not. So what else will Walmart do? They will give you equivalent exchange, right? So okay, if you don't like that item, you can get X amount to equivalent of what you spent. So in this game, that has to be the rank down tickets. That has to be like you giving us the SIG stones invested, and that has to be the gym if it was invested as well. That is the equivalent of that, in my opinion, right? And I think that would make things right, personally. This is kind of where I'm going to kind of switch gears a little bit, because I do want to address something. There is a reason why I don't, and I'm going to say in quotations, sell champions. What do I mean by selling champions? Well, this is going to be addressed to various CCP members, so hopefully I don't come off as, I don't know. Hopefully this doesn't come off wrong. I never liked the idea of selling a champion, because what you guys need to understand is we are influencers, okay? At the end of the day, we influence people to do things, and it doesn't matter how big or small your audience base is. You have to recognize that you do influence people when you do the, hey, look at this champion, they can do this, right when their sales are dropping. You are part of that machine selling those champions because of how enthusiastic you are about a mechanic that may or may not be with that champion. And I think a lot of you guys don't disclose, not all of you guys, because some of you guys do, but not all of you guys disclose that. And then people are looking at you and they're losing trust and faith in you because you just help them buy these bundles or buy these deals based off an idea of what a champion can or cannot do, depending on if they get rebalanced or not. Because a lot of you guys say, hey, this is what they can do right now, and you don't say that, hey, this is subject to a rebalance. Now, again, that's not everybody, but hopefully you can see how that helps sell that idea to the audience that you guys have, and they're looking at you feeling slighted just as much as they're looking at Kabam feeling slighted, because you helped advertise that champion in a specific way. I'm not against selling because I understand the concept behind it, but that is why I personally chose to never partake in that behavior. And again, I'm not shunning anybody. I'm just saying you have to recognize that you are actually part of the problem when it comes to this. Because when you sell it a certain way, as Kabam sold it to you, you cannot exonerate yourself from being like, well, I didn't know this is what Kabam said to me. But you also sold the idea to the masses. You know what I'm saying? So you have to recognize your part in it as well. And if a public apology is necessary or whatever you feel like you need to do, whatever, it's fine. Again, I just want some of you guys to recognize that you are part of that wheel when it comes to champion displays and showcases and all that stuff right when they are getting ready to drop for sales. You're directly involved and you have to recognize that. Okay. But I don't think that is anything wrong with that, but that's personally why I chose to never partake for reasons like this when they actually occur, because there was a possibility that it was going to occur, and here we are now. Not saying anything else beyond that, but I did want to address that because a lot of people did ask me, well, why don't you do showcases and stuff when champions, you have access, you're in the CCP? This is a reason why. Okay, much like I won't ever use an emote in Battlegrounds because specific emotes can be toxic behavior when utilized in the wrong way. And then just like a text message, people can misinterpret. They could be feeling slighted because the AI acted up on them, and then you send what you think is a positive emote and they take it the wrong way. That's no different, which is exactly why I chose to not engage in that behavior. Because people were asking me, well, why won't you emote me back? Or da, 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 da. And I was like, listen, this is my interpretation of that, and therefore I choose not to engage in that. And that's okay, right? That's just me. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, none of that. I'm just telling you why. All right. The next thing that I did want to talk about is so often with Kabam and us as the player base. We feel like it's kind of a war between us and corporate, right? And while we do come together under different stances, we still have to work together in order to have this game functioning and continuing to go forth, right? And very, very often it seems like a lot of people are quick to respond without actually listening or trying to understand the other point of view. And that goes for the player base, and that also goes for Kabam. When some of the CCP members came out and they were talking, and some of them, some people left. I'm not going to get into who, because that doesn't matter. But when they told you their experiences of them feeling kind of less than, or feeling like an idiot, or them not feeling heard, I can relate to that, because I too have some strong stances towards a few different things, and it just felt like you're not being heard. Whether that be another CCP member that's going to say something to you, or a dev, or whomever, and it feels sometimes like you can be outnumbered quite quickly, and your idea, your moral stance is just, it can seem like it's falling on deaf ears. So I get it when they said that, and a lot of you guys don't actually know what we go through in the CCP behind closed doors, because it's behind closed doors. There are a lot of us, not all of us, that do advocate for the player base for various reasons. We will go out on a limb and speak up, and hey man, from their position, maybe that's not ideal, and that is what it is. But a lot of you guys try to lump us all into the same category, and it personally bothers me, because I know what type of person I am, and there's a lot of other people that know what type of person I am that does advocate for the player base 1,000,000%, while also trying to understand that it just can't always be about the player base. There has to be revenue generated in order to function, so this game continues to go forth, right? So there's that. But I would strongly advise everyone to absorb the information that is given, whether you agree with it or not. Try to understand from that individual's perspective, and then after some time has passed, give a response if necessary, because a lot of you guys are quick to jump the gun, whether that's a positive way or a negative way, right? And then you're backtracking, right? Because you didn't actually understand all the information, not yet, because you were too quick to just hurry up and go out there and say what you wanted to say real quick. And that causes a chain effect a lot of the times, where you guys are super emotional, whether that's in a good way or a bad way, based off of something said by Kabam, and it's vice versa too, guys. We're all human, right? So that happens. So I would strongly suggest we take a step back. We say, okay, I may not agree with this personally, but let me make sure I have all the information. Let me see kind of the opposite end of the perspective. So therefore, once I have all the information gathered, once I see all the perspectives, then I could say something in regards to everything. So that was something that I wanted to say as well, that hopefully you guys will heed my warning on that, because conversations can spiral quite quickly because of misinformation, because people are not listening, actually actively listening, or because of people's moral compass and they always think they're right, whatever side of the fence you may fall on. And that is tough to have a discussion with anybody who always thinks they're right. I mean, that type of behavior comes off as arrogant, ignorant, and just, it's unwanted by the masses. You can quickly have yourself in a ostracized position because you constantly think that you're always right, and you refuse to compromise and or listen to someone else when they may know better. You just are too proud to admit it. So you come up with bullshit and you just continue forth going with it. And that's on all sides of the fence, by the way. I personally, that type of behavior turns me clean off personally. And I know it does a lot of other people. And I see it happen very frequently on both ends of the spectrum. Take a step back, learn to listen, learn to reassess. Because I promise you, you're not always right. Period. All right, the next thing that I wanted to discuss is belittling someone. Guys, attack the argument, never the person. It's just pretty simple and straightforward. I understand we can get emotional, but that's actually the worst time to have a discussion, is if you are in your emotions. But we so often do it as individuals, right? So try your best to attack the argument and not the person. That's never the answer. In my opinion, you have already lost if you're trying to take a personal attack at someone for whatever reason. Try to think logically, try to think and articulate what you're actually trying to get across, and then attack the argument. And more often than not, if you do that, you will be a lot more respected, and more people are willing to listen to what you have to say. Because the moment you take it personally and you start doing personal attacks on someone, you better believe is the moment that a lot of people tune you out, turn you down, or they're going to take stabs back at you. And again, you can't have a healthy discussion and or debate if you guys are personally attacking each other, not the ideas, right? So those are a few things that I did want to say and address. The whole different ways of monetization, in my opinion, is good, because a lot of people were getting very upset with the constant deals and sales of champion acquisition, which I personally can assure you I was getting very frustrated with it, which I thought this is only putting us in a negative light, right? This is only making and driving people away because you're constantly selling something. On the opposite end of that, we have to think, yeah, they do need to sell things, but there's other ways that you can go about it. So personally, I'm happy that they're trying to explore other ways of earning revenue, because that is a necessary, it's a must if we want this game to continue going forward. We have to understand that, we have to respect that. So if they're willing to compromise and look at that in a different way, I think that's a good thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that I personally am interested in it, but at least there is something there where they say, hey, we recognize that, hey, in order for us to continue going forth, what we're doing is not working, so we need to try something else. And I think that in itself speaks volumes. Hopefully they can come up with something that works for the masses, because I don't believe there will be something that's going to work for everyone. I just don't believe that. You can't make everyone happy in my mind, maybe in somebody else's, but not in mine, right? So I think that's pretty good. And then I think we need to start, as far as Kabam, I think they need to start just focusing and honing in, as the homie Truth had said the other day, on pick and choose on what you want to hone in on, and then really actually hone in on that. Trying to go in too many directions at once means that you're not going in any directions, really. Not anywhere fast, or probably not any net positives. So definitely hone in on a few different focuses, and then redirect and focus on those tasks, and don't just constantly do multiple tasks to try to appease everyone, because to me that's unrealistic, and that's probably not going to mull over very well, personally. And I think that's honestly about it. I mean, I think if we're able to continuously try, maybe we'll get there. I don't think the game is absolutely cooked. I do think we all need to take a step back and reassess, and just be open and willing to have hard conversations, to put it bluntly. And I think sometimes a hard conversation, an uncomfortable conversation, is necessary to make progress, personally. And if you're able to do that effectively, then I think we can all be in a better spot with this game. But the reality of the situation is those are just my opinions. This is not law. This is not fact. But it is something that I think will be helpful if we're able to do these things, right? So, those are my thoughts about everything kind of as it stands right now. I don't really want to make this video too much longer. But yeah, man, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe. That greatly helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And we're really close to 3,000 subs. So if you want to leave a comment on your thoughts, or if you disagree with something I say, that's more than fine. I'm willing to listen to what you have to say. Only thing I've ever asked is that you be respectful. So with that being said, I'll let this final fight play out, and then I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Shall go.